Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Justin Wolfe from WolfeCustoms. Today is an exciting day for me. I've had a lot of really positive feedback on my knives, as well as people getting out and using them, and so far they have stood up excellent. And in many cases I've been told that my knives have replaced other people's custom knives. So far I've only made the Razorback and offered it to everybody as an EDC size knife. Well, today I'm going to show you my new knife. This knife is what I call the K9. Okay, everybody wanted a larger version of the Razorback, so that's exactly what I've got here. Okay, again, the handle that locks your hand into place so there's no twisting and your knife turning, no hot spots, no fatigue. Well, I say that. Today is the first time I'm using this knife. You can tell by the blade, this knife has not been used. So I honestly don't have any idea how it's going to perform, but considering the handle is the exact same as the Razorbacks, I'm pretty confident that it's going to work very well. Again, I have went with 1/8 inch 01 tool steel on this. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that like 3/16 and everything else. I'm here to tell you, 1/8 inch thick steel is very strong, very strong. You can do a lot with it, and you get much better cuts and performance from it than you do a 3/16 blade. But for those 3/16 lovers out there, my next knife is going to be in 3/16. It is going to be a larger survival knife, so stay tuned for it. So this knife here is 8.5 inches overall length. The cutting blade itself is 4 inches. So let me show you a size comparison. Here's my Razorback, and here's the K9. So definitely larger. The spine of this knife is very sharp. It should throw sparks very well. All in all, this knife should perform like an absolute dream. I chose to go a little higher on the Scandi on this one. It's kind of a test per se. It should cut like a razor blade. I don't know how well it's going to hold up though. So like I said, this is more of a test. If I find that the edge doesn't hold nearly as nice, then I will go back to probably a 10-degree Scandi grind. But I think that this will hold up pretty well. Some of the questions that people have had about my knives is, what's the process that I do with my knives? I actually buy the bar stock and I do stock removal. I cut all of my knife blanks out by hand and grind them all to the shape. I do all the beveling, all the finish work, and I do all my own heat treat as well. And all of my knives have held up very good to date, and I have had 0 complaints. So I'm hoping to continue that with this knife right here. So let's put it to the test. Let's get some wood, let's start cutting some stuff up, and let's see how this bad boy holds up. So one of the first things that I like to do when testing a blade and how sharp it is and how good of a grind it has is simply taking a piece of wood, putting my knife against it, pushing on it with my thumb, and seeing how far it bites in without pushing or pulling with my arm or anything like that. Obviously it's going to vary depending on how hard your wood is, but you'll get the idea. So let's just see, shall we? Okay, just simply by pushing my thumb, it went in a little over 1/2 inch. Now if I put a little bit more force on it, it'd go in even further. So you can see. So it's definitely taking it off in chunks. And just like my razorback, my hand, or the handle, isn't wanting to twist in my hand, so I feel no hot spots. At all. So far, feels pretty good. Okay, so here is where some of the experimenting with this grind is going to come into play. How well is it going to give feather sticks? Is that grind going to be too aggressive and want to bite into the wood? Or is it going to be just right? I have no idea. You know, it actually did better than I thought it was going to do. I actually thought that it might be a little bit too aggressive, but with a little practice, you can get some pretty dang tight little curls on that, that's for sure. Alright, I don't have any major large wood in this area to actually baton against, so I'm just going to have to use this downed small tree here. Let's see how she does, shall we? Okay, I'll stop right there because I want to see what kind of a split I'm getting. I want to make sure that my edge only touches on the first initial couple blows. After that, my knife blade itself should create a wedge, which it has. So that was no problem. Check the blade. No nicks, no chips, and it is still just absolute razor sharp. Alright, so let's get a little bit larger piece of wood here. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of big wood in my area. And I've often said that I don't like batoning with my knives anyway, but I do believe that your knife should baton. But I think the operator of the knife should have common sense when it comes to batoning. When I see people baton their knives through really knotted pieces of wood and everything like that, it drives me crazy. Because what do you think is going to happen to your edge if you baton your knife through a nice wood knot? Of course your edge is going to fail or chip or something like that. Use common sense when you're batoning. No nicks, no chips. Flawless. Still chunks wood like nobody's business too. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm just taking one of these halves that I batoned and I'm just kind of shaving it down a little bit, because you guys know that I always like to make a very quick and easy steak to see how it does on a finer task. So once I got this shaved down, then I will chop, lightly chop across, carve it out. Don't really have a good surface to chop on here, so I'm just going to roll it around. And it's getting in there very, very good. No problems at all. Alright, so let's pretend for a second that I'm going to make a hearth board for a bow drill set. Let's split this off first. It's when you're doing these long, deep cuts like this that you'll experience hot spots and arm fatigue. And I'm just not experiencing it. So the handle is doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay, I was able to process that in no time flat, so that worked nice. And as far as getting a divot goes, looks like it's doing fine there too. Obviously, when it comes to making divots and everything else, you want to be wary when it comes to your tip. I mean, you should be able to do this, and I'm going to do it to show you that it will do it. But for the most part, just rotate your knife around or spin your hearthboard, however you want to do it. But that worked out just fine. So let's pretend for a second that I've burnt that in, and now I want to notch it. Let's go a little deeper here. Twist and pop it out. Twist and pop it out. A lot of people will use their saws to make their notch. If you've got a good sharp knife, you don't need a saw. You can see that in a very short amount of time, I'm notching that out pretty nice. But anyway, enough of that. Edge is in perfect shape. Did not affect it at all. So all in all, I've been pleased with the way this performed, because everything you saw there is exactly what I expect of my knives. I'm not going to be chopping down trees with them or anything like that. Would it chop down a tree, small tree? Yeah, you could probably fall a tree. But I believe in using a knife how a knife is designed to be used. So anyway, I do probably think I will reduce the Scandi, make it just a little bit less aggressive, like I have with the Razorback. But as far as the edge goes, still very flippin' sharp. That's all there is to it. Didn't affect it at all. And you can see that there's just no problems on there. So anyway, guess the last thing to do, so I almost forgot, we better test the spine of this thing. Obviously you can see that it doesn't have a problem with that either. Well guys, I appreciate you guys coming along with me, putting this thing through the test, getting a little field wear and tear on it, a little smoke, and I'm happy. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I really am. Like I said, I'm probably going to reduce the Scandi a little bit, but other than that, I'm very pleased with it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video on my new canine knife, and as always, have a good one.